Hey folks, we are back at Nicky T Live. I'm your host, Nick Taylor. Yes, I have a last name. I don't know why I froze there. Today I am hanging out with Ramon. Thanks for coming on. I know you're super busy, so appreciate you taking the time out. And yeah, for folks who might not know who you are, maybe just give a bit of a rundown of who you are, what you're up to these days. Feel free to give an origin story of how you got into tech too, if you'd like to. Just feel free to say as much as you'd like to, basically.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And hey, everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Ramon. I'm coming to you live from Vienna in Austria. I am originally Chilean, but I've lived here for a very long time. So this is home now. I'm a developer relations consultant, developer educator. I'm currently um, between roles. If anybody's looking for a senior developer advocate, hit me up. Other than that, I'm co-founder of Bad Website Club, a free learning initiative. And we were actually, oh, okay, yes. Nick did say, oh yeah, feel free to shamelessly plug. I will
Shamelessly plug
for you.
away. Yeah.
um, we're going to be starting a free boot camp based on Free Code Camp's web design and web development materials on August 1st. So if that sounds fun, it's self-paced. We're gonna do some live stream. We're gonna have guests. It's gonna be a ton of fun. I'm gonna shamelessly drop a link to the blog post where that's hosted, and
Yeah, yeah, go
yeah,
for it.
that's what I've been up to. Thank
Cool,
you.
cool, cool. No, that's awesome. I dropped a link. It's on my website, but it's all the links to where folks can follow you. So definitely give Ramon. Is it Ramon or Ramon? I feel
Oh,
like just for pronunciation, just so I know.
you're very kind. Thank you, Nick. It's Ramon. You don't have to roll the R. Ramon is fine.
Yeah,
Ramon would add an E to the end of my name, and also
yeah,
make
yeah.
me a
Okay.
member of a band, the
Yeah, yeah,
Ramones,
yeah, yeah,
which I
yeah,
am
yeah.
not.
Exactly. I think I rolled the R there because I'm
You did
bilingual.
it
I speak
great.
French, so it's like
Nice.
I guess my Frenchness came out. But yeah, cool, cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, super stoked to have you here. Already seeing some folks lighting up the chat there. Got some usual suspects, Chrissy and Brent. So appreciate you dropping in. I know some folks from Virtual Coffee and maybe even the Collab Lab will pop by too. And oh, we got first time chatter, Juan P. Flores. I think that's a friend of yours, Ramon.
Yeah, it's Juanpa. Good to see you.
Oh yeah, okay. And oh, and there's Laura here. I so I'm
Lots
trying
of
to picture.
folks.
I think I'm following Laura on a couple socials, but I'm not positive. So some people, it's always it's easier when people's handles are their actual names because like sometimes I remember like Chrissy, who I know from just met her on a couple spaces, and she's in Open Sauce Pizza. Um,
Oh,
but
amazing.
her handle's CBID2, and the first time she came on, I was like, "Oh, hello, CBID2," because I had no idea it was her. So, anyways, I digress. I digress. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, hey, Nikolov. Hey, what's up? Hey, cool, cool. We
Lots
got
of
a good,
wonderful folks here. I love it.
yeah, great gang going on in here. Okay, cool. This is awesome. I know some other people will probably trickle in. It's lunchtime for some people. It varies all the time. You stream all the time too. Um, so I'm super excited about what we're going to be digging into today. So we're going to be doing, as you can see in the title there, so we're going to do an intro to React Native using Expo. And like I was telling you before when we spoke on the weekend there, Ramon, um,
Yeah.
I've definitely done a ton of React. I've worked with Preact and some other frameworks too. I work on the frameworks team at Netlify, so it's in my best interest to know how frameworks work. But I've never done any React Native or Expo, and I know I believe you give a course on kind of like an intro course to React Native, I think, and we're going to kind of go with that curriculum today, I think. So and I was going to say too, like if you want to drop that curriculum, I don't know if there's a link for that or if that's just something on
Oh, yeah.
a,
No, it's open source.
yeah.
What
Okay,
what
cool,
I
cool.
what I thought we'd do is we could here, I'm gonna grab that real quick. It is meant for a boot camp called Up Leveled. Shout
Okay.
outs to Up Leveled. They're really cool people. They're doing learning to code here in Vienna.
Yeah.
And every quarter or so, I'll drop by and give them a brief intro to React Native and Expo. I've dropped that into the chat.
Cool, cool,
Um,
cool.
and I think because they have their own API that they use, I figure what we can do is sort of take this guest list model from the boot camp and just
Okay.
like, run with it and have a good time.
Yeah, yeah, no, that sounds great. I'm super excited for this. I always like getting out of my comfort zone. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable with
Hey,
React, but I've aside from responsive sites in terms of mobile, that's about all I've done. I've never shipped an actual native app, whether that's through React Native or something like Ionic or actual like Swift code or what's Android using these days? The name's escaping me.
Kotlin
Kotlin. Yeah, there you go.
or
Yeah,
Flutter.
yeah, a Flutter. Yeah, I think Flutter. Yeah, are they both? I think Flutter the one that's cross device, kind of like React Native, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Flutter, I mean, as far as I know, Flutter allows you to write apps using a programming language called Dart, which started at
Okay.
Google.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that lets you build apps for not just mobile platforms, but also natively for Windows and I believe other platforms too. So it's quite cool.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so there's a few players in the space. So I guess there's
To-
Flutter, React Native. React Native's interesting too because from what I've read, because I haven't used it yet, there's even React Native for Windows. So if you want to build native Windows
Oh,
applications, you can. Um,
no way.
so
That's awesome.
yeah, I can't remember if it's like its own separate project or if it's just like a deployment target when you build something with React Native. It's again, like I was saying, like I'm completely new to React Native. So if there are folks in the chat that have worked with React Native and you're aware of all that, we can check that out. I'm going to drop a couple links if folks aren't familiar with either of those, like me. So here's the Expo site, which is what we're going to
Cool.
be using to work with React Native today. And here's the React Native website too, if you want to check that out. So,
And both of those
uh,
are excellent resources for getting started. Because I wanted to say, Nick, if by having loads of experience using React, believe it or not, you're halfway there. I mean, if you look at the name,
yeah,
it's React Native. So
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of what you're going to be doing when building React Native apps is going to seem pretty familiar.
yeah. So, before we kind of dive into things, so like it's definitely got the same patterns as React. So, like for folks who've done
Yeah.
React, you've got your dot render, and there's component trees and JSX as well. So, I guess
Hmm.
for you, Ramon, where do you see like the differences? Like obviously the most obvious one is it's for a native application, but so like is it just really because like React has this concept of a renderer, and you can have custom renderers. This is not something I've ever done, but I guess
Same.
React Native is just it's just another renderer. Like in the case of React for web, we're using a renderer that is going to the document object model, so like on a web page. But for React Native, I guess again because I don't have experience with it, but it's build target or like where it renders to is something native, and I I don't know I don't know if I'm explaining that well. I think that's how it works. Uh,
Yeah, no, you're explaining it excellently. What we're doing here is using familiar, and if you when you write a React Native application, a lot of the packages are going to be super familiar. You're going to have your React, you're going to have your React
yeah,
DOM if you're going to be compiling to web. More on that later.
yeah,
But you're also going to have your React Native runtime as well as specific packages specific to React Native. And
okay,
what's going on is we're going to be writing React code that essentially will be compiled or translated to native elements for
hmm,
a specific platform. So
yeah,
what does that
okay,
mean?
gotcha.
It means that in iOS, for example, one kind of component, which we call text, will turn into a UI label, which is the equivalent of that native component in iOS. In
Okay, yeah.
Android, it's going to have a different name, which I will be honest, it's been a while since I've done Android natively.
All good,
Uh,
all good.
oh gosh, maybe 8 years or so. So I don't remember the name off the top of my head. And yes, as said, when you're compiling your React Native code base to the web, it's going to translate into, for example, a P element. That is a native browser
Okay, yeah.
element.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I use
Gotcha.
here. Love it.
Yeah, 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 and I don't know learner 0418's name, but yeah, they're saying, and I've heard this before. So like they're saying, React Native, there's a bridge between JS and native code, and sometimes you need to do specific things. And I remember this is like years ago, but like people working at Walmart and stuff. Like I remember Ken Wheeler, who's on Twitter, he was talking about like you're building a lot of it with React, but like say you need something that's super performant that you just shouldn't be doing in JavaScript for whatever. I don't know. Maybe some complex UI component that's, I don't know, like some pie chart that is 3D and I don't know, shows
Mhm.
Space Jam. I have no idea, but like basically something that's like super intensive and it just makes sense that it's an actual native thing. And like learner 0418 saying there's some bridges, and I don't know how you do this, but some bridge to say like, yeah, this is native code that I want to actually call from JavaScript, I guess. Um,
Totally. And in fact, what you can do is, and especially in the non-Expo, we'll get into Expo in just a moment. When you're writing a React Native project, what you're doing when you build it, right, is you're generating a binary that is a compiled chunk of code that runs on an
yeah,
iPhone and a binary that runs on Android. And what you can do is, of course, link it, that is, integrate frameworks and pieces of code that run natively on Android and
yeah.
ones equivalent ones that run on iOS, respectively. You can even write React Native code specifically meant for iOS or Android.
Oh, okay. You can target direct. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of nifty the way you can do it. I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but it's really just taking the name of a component, sorry, the name of a file, and
Yeah.
the extension will be, JSX or TSX by prepet. Okay, I'm going to confuse myself. Before the extension, you can add .android or .ios. So you could have, for example, I don't know, widget.ios.tsx or
Okay.
widget.android.tsx. And that's one way where React Native's like, gotcha, I'll use the specific one that I need
Okay, okay,
if
gotcha,
you want
gotcha.
to.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so uh from what I've read before, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the React Native team encourages people to use Expo as the best way to develop apps. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Expo is a project that kind of lives alongside slash on top of React Native, which is sort of an extension of tools that make it easier to develop apps. It's got a lot of integrations that sort of free you from having to touch. And as a lot of us are going to feel a little twang of relief when we hear these names. You don't have to touch Xcode. You don't have to touch
Okay.
Android Studio or Gradle or all of the Android tooling. And really, it
Okay.
does all of that for you. It's got a cloud platform to allow you to build the apps in the cloud. Because, of course, if you're developing an iOS app natively
Yeah.
on your machine, you got to be on Mac OS. But this way,
Yeah,
you
no,
can do it
totally.
on the cloud. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a great point you bring up because just to give some funny context, like I got my first MacBook Pro in 2010. It was like my first brand new computer I bought. Like
Nice.
I'm lying a bit. The first computer I had was super expensive, and this is when they were desktops. This is like in the 90s. I'm a little long in the tooth, but I was working at a restaurant and I saved up my money to buy my first computer. You know, had the crappy Logitech speakers and stuff. But anyways, I got that
Oh,
computer, but it was a fortune at the time. And then after that, I just kept buying used ones off the classifieds, and they were always Windows
yeah.
machines. And then fast forward to 2010, and it's a little story, but I'll try to keep it brief. I
I
registered
love a
this
story.
website. I registered a domain name html5.ca, and .ca domains aren't that popular, but the goal of it was, it wasn't to sell it, but I was gonna like, oh, I'm gonna start blogging about HTML5, which was popular at the time. And
Awesome.
I didn't end up getting around to blogging, but then all of a sudden I got this email from somebody saying they wanted to buy the domain. And I've never had anybody ask me to buy a domain, so I was like, I thought it was spam. I kept putting it off, and then finally it sounded like they were pretty serious because they kept bumping the price. And then so
Ooh.
I ended up, I literally paid $10 for it, and I sold it for $4,000. And this is the funny part of the story. Like, maybe I could have got more money, I don't know, but honestly, $10 to 4,000 is still pretty good. Uh, I don't know if it was
It's
a broker
amazing.
or what, but at the time, if you went to html5.ca, it used to go to the Internet Explorer download page. So Microsoft had clearly bought it. Um, but
Wow.
anyways, but so this was like a huge chunk of change. So I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna buy a new computer, and this is like a couple years after the first iPhone came out. So I was like,
Yeah.
I think the first iPhone came out in 2008. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a MacBook, and I'm gonna build an iOS app, because that's, at the time, that's all you could do. Is build them on. You couldn't build like an iOS app on a Mac, on a Windows machine. So that was my whole goal. No, I never built an iOS app. I fell in love with my Mac, and I had it for like years. Seriously, like up until 2018. I still have it. It still works. But
Amazing.
a little slower now. But anyways, the point was like, I had bought it explicitly because I was planning on doing iOS apps. And with something like Expo, that's not required now, right? Which is another, it kind of removes a huge barrier for people, because like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like my work has supplied me with a beautiful MacBook Pro M1, and I love it, but it's not like they're not cheap, and I didn't pay
Yeah.
for it. So like I think one of the ideas I like about Expo is it's making native app development for iOS at least more accessible potentially.
Yeah. And a lot of these platforms offer this, which is really really solid. There's a couple. There used to be one called. I'm starting to show my age now. There used to be one called Xamarin with an X that
Okay.
was a service that offered like cross platform compilation. I don't remember of what.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
it's Microsoft. I used to work in .NET, so
Ah,
that's another story. But basically, Firefox used to have a language called Zool to build their extensions, and the browser was built with it. And then Microsoft essentially took up this markup language and called it XAML instead. And then XAML is what Silverlight was, and Xamarin. And then like Silverlight disappeared
gotcha.
eventually. Like one of the first Netflix apps was oh yeah, we got a Zool fan in there. But yeah, but basically all these markup based languages have made sense. And I mean, it's kind of funny because you look at JSX, it's the same kind of thing, right? Not exactly,
Right.
but it's descriptive. It's a declarative way to build things, and so they went with that. And Xamarin was still using XAML alongside Silverlight. I don't remember what the exact diff. Oh yeah, I think Silverlight was really for building an app. Like the first Netflix app I had on my television or my Roku was a Silverlight app. But after that,
Gotcha.
I think Xamarin went the more mobile direction, I think. So
Hmm.
yeah. Anyways, we're doing history lessons here today, folks. No doubt, no doubt.
What I love about this is that there's so many names here that I don't recognize, like Zune, Zool, WinForms, SAML, .NET MAUI. Like this is what I love about tech. It's like
Yeah,
it's not about knowing all the things because it's never gonna be. Like knowing all the things, like being aware of all the things can be pretty overwhelming. But like, you know, doing what you know and doing it well, that's
yeah,
super solid. At the end of the day, a lot
yeah.
of the skills carry over.
Yeah, and it's I'm glad we're talking about all these things, because like, you know, people talk about, building with component based things, but eh, and the React team has said this before. They didn't invent components. Like components existed like when I was doing .NET, ASP.NET, or even not so much ASP, which was before that, but like
Yeah.
Java server page, all these things have been building components
Oh
forever on the
yeah.
server side. And it looks like markup. It looks like JSX. Like obviously JSX is for JavaScript typically, but so it's just I almost kind of wonder if, because I don't know the history of how JSX came about. Like, I wonder if they took inspiration from the server side languages that were doing, kind of markup based for like components and stuff. So, oh, you're writing JSP
Mhm.
too? Still? Oh, sorry. Or is it not too bad? I
Ooh,
don't know. I don't know. I did ASP initially, which is like JSP, so Java Server Pages, or ASP was Microsoft's version, Active Server Pages.
I remember those.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but anyways, it all comes back to kind of like what we're gonna dig in today, which is like you're building components to build out things. So it's kind of neat. I always like the kind of like
Yeah.
history of how things came about. So
I think context is really important for figuring out why we're here and where we're going, right? Like what are the pain points that people felt? For example, something like React Native, right? It came out of a pain, or this sort of stage of developing mobile apps using web technologies came out of a need. That need is like, well, we have this skill set in web technologies. Why
yeah,
not do two things at once? Feed two birds with one stone, as they say, and have one code base shared across multiple platforms, which has its benefits and drawbacks, and
hmm
of course use technologies that a lot of people that are pretty widespread and being taught a lot now, which are those web fundamentals.
yeah. Yeah, no, and it's great, and it's so great that, and this is kind of the same thing with like mobile and responsive and like people using web views, which isn't the same thing as what we're gonna do today here, but
Nope.
like I like that people can leverage their existing skill set. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of pretty neat too, so
Oh,
cool,
totally.
cool.
Totally. When you talk to people about like, oh, should I do React Native? What if I need to do hyper? You were talking about this just now, just earlier, Nick. What if I need to render 3D graphics at highly optimized speeds? Well,
Yeah,
then yeah, you'll need to reach out for a lower level. But if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of the time, the majority of what we're doing in our mobile apps, what we're developing is, CRUD, create, read,
yeah,
update,
yeah.
and delete.
Yeah, it's not like we're building mind-blowing apps that are like, like from movies like in the Matrix or like Minority Report where you're like shifting stuff around. It's like those things,
Never
I
say
mean,
never.
well, yeah, not never, but like, yeah, I would agree with you. Like the majority of people building applications are, it's, I always laugh about this for when you're, because you're saying crud, but like everything on the web is just a form at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what your startup does. It's like you're submitting a form, even if it's through a fetch call. You're still, it's kind of, it's just funny. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, cool, cool. Okay, so honestly, I feel like I could just talk about all this stuff now, but
I
we
love
should
this.
probably we should probably dig into some expo. So
Let's do it.
I'll drop the link to the expo site again, and I'll switch us over to pairing view here. Just give me a second. Just gotta hide my email.
Gotta clean up before we have guests over.
Yeah, 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 exactly. All right, so I got nothing here. Okay, cool. So let me just so I can see you on my other screen. Cool. So I guess first thing, okay, so I'm brand new to Expo. How do I get started?
Totally. Totally. What? Give me 1 second, please, Taylor. Just want to see if there's a way that I can pop out. Ooh, picture in picture. Fancy. So I
Oh
can
yeah,
pop
you.
out what you see. Magnificent. Cool. So what do we have here? We have an editor, we have a terminal. So what we need is a project.
Yeah,
Now, this is probably going to be super familiar to folks that are, doing lots of JavaScript stuff, developing, which is let's get a generator. Now, here's the thing:
yeah,
we can use Expo provides a code based generator like you would, I don't know, this is a little older now and not so much used, but like create React app or create next app. We have create
yeah.
Expo app.
Okay,
So we're going to be using create Expo app, but we're going to take a small detour
okay.
because with Expo, a recent addition that they've made is the ability to use a router, right?
Yeah.
This is to navigate between screens. And so, like, just to give a little bit of context, back in the day, navigating screens in mobile apps was its own rabbit hole, and navigating screens in React Native was its own rabbit hole, because you're not navigating between pages like you would in a browser. You're essentially layering screens onto the top of your stack of, let's call them views,
Yeah.
of your mobile app. And so what's going to happen is these can either be popovers, these can be like stacked on top, and you can press back to jump back out. Navigating screens on mobile apps isn't as straightforward as a back and forth in a pardon me,
In
back and forth
a
in a browser,
yeah.
right? So what the super clever folks at Expo have done is that they've created something called Expo Router, which is what Nick has very kindly put up here on the screen. And so we're going to use a template to be able to
Okay.
use the latest version of Expo Router, which got released. Can you remind me, Nick? Was it like last week?
Where is it here? I'm trying to remember when it was. I'll drop the link to it
Here, let
again.
me.
I drop. Uh,
Oh, you've got it there in the chat.
let's see. I think it was last week. Here, I'll just.
July 5th.
Okay, so
So we're going to
not
be
last week,
using,
but still pretty fresh.
yeah, super fresh. So I haven't worked with Expo Router V2. So sorry to take us down a bit of a detour. What I want to provide here is some context around, we're going to be generating an app using Create Expo app, but we're going to be right from the start integrating this router, which will make, if you're familiar with Next.js, this is going to be super familiar for navigating between screens as you would navigating between pages.
Okay. So
So
I'm
what
just
they're doing
looking here.
is, yeah,
I'm not sure why the templates tabs at 49. That seems a little weird, but
that looks like a Git branch.
oh yeah. That makes sense then. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess I'll just go with this.
Yeah, and you're gonna see a lot of it seems familiar if you're familiar with like npm and npx generators. Create Expo app, and we're gonna use the template, which is that latest Expo Router v2 template. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call
So
it.
yeah.
We talked about this briefly last week, but we were thinking of this is in general, this is a good thing that you should be doing for yourself, but like having a brag board, whether that's like, I keep notes about this. I remember like one of the jobs I left a few years ago, I just got all these kind emails saying, hey, it was awesome working with you. I kept those and stuff. And, just stuff for like, when you're feeling down, or maybe you get some imposter syndrome one day. So, it's just kind of like a pick me up. So we were thinking of doing that. So I could maybe just call it brag board, or I don't know.
Brag board is good. Yeah,
Okay.
and I've got one of these as well. I've got a Notion document that I've called Kind Words that has screenshots of nice things people have told me or nice feedback I've been given that sort of perks me up when I'm feeling a little bit down in the dumps.
Yeah, I actually like that name better. I kind of want to stop the install and do that.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, these things are great, and
Yeah.
I, I keep notes for them, like I was saying, but I also like some of them I put public. Like I don't know if people use
Awesome.
polywork, but I have a tag for like I forget what I call it. It might be kind words or whatever. But then whenever somebody gives me like a shout out or something they said about me that was kind, I pop it in there, and it's just just makes it feel good. So all right, cool. So I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
kind
totally.
words.
Awesome.
And
So we've got
just
our project generated.
okay, so I'm gonna open it up in VS Code. Small trick for VS Code fans: you can open up the editor, the project in the same editor if you add a -r if you're using it from the command line instead of it opening a new one.
Ooh.
So that's my I don't normally do pro tips or whatever, but that's my pro tip
Oh
for
no.
today. So.
We gotta do all the pro tips. This is like I'm constantly learning about VS Code. It's amazing.
All right, cool. So can folks in the chat see the screen okay? I bumped up, I zoomed in a few. So cool.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, this looks
So
fantastic. So, oh, sorry.
No, 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 you go ahead. Sorry. I guess I was just gonna say, did you want to talk about the folder structure, or do you want to talk about how to just kind of run the project now, or where do you want to go next?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of both, shall we? Like, I'd love, so whenever I generate a project, I always gonna be like, okay, cool. What folders have you made? What's going on here? And so, like, if you're developing lots of JavaScript projects, a lot of this is going to seem pretty familiar. You'll see we have our node modules, big chunky folder. We've got our package JSON. I'd love to start there if I may.
Yeah, sure. Cool. And let me just close a couple things so we get a bit more real estate. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wonderful. Thank you. So, look, we've got a lot of things that are going to seem familiar if you've worked with JavaScript before. We've got some scripts. We got our start. We got specific scripts for Android, iOS, web, and tests, which is super cool. We got tests.
Okay.
Fantastic. If we look at our dependencies, we're going to see a couple of things that are going to, some of which are going to be familiar, some of which are going to be new. We've got a couple of Expo things, which, if you remember, are extra packages that we add on top to making React Native development quicker. A
Yeah.
couple of familiar ones. We got React, we got React DOM, we got React Native, gesture handlers. In mobile apps, gestures are going to be like those things, those specific things that we do on a daily basis on our phones that we don't really think about anymore, like
Okay.
drags and pinches and whatever the opposite of a pinch is. Expand, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Unpinch. Can I
yeah, let's
call it
see.
unpinch? Unpinch.
Well,
I don't know.
it's a name now. We're calling it unpinch.
There you
um,
go.
yeah, let's see. We got some dev dependencies. Again, super familiar if you've worked with these. We're going to be writing TypeScript. Super cool. Always happy to do some TypeScript. And
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
just wanted to sort of like briefly step through and look at all of that. I
Okay.
would say based on that, we've got some scripts. Do we want to go ahead and run that script to start? Which should
Yeah,
be with
sure.
npm start. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can just do npm start. Don't have to type
Learner
run.
notices very correctly. We don't have linting by default. Well, that is something to know. Very fair. Um,
Okay, so we
great.
have a few
Yeah, so
options
we've
here
got.
now.
Yeah, I'd actually love to ask you please to scroll up a little bit because I want to show you something cool.
Oh, oh wow.
Look at
Okay.
that. So we got a big QR code here, which if you have an app called Expo installed on your phone, you can
Okay.
actually scan this with Expo and start developing your app on your phone right away. The
Oh, no way.
caveat, yeah, and the
That's very
caveat, I
cool.
believe, I believe the caveat is that your phone needs to be on the same network as your computer.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, because otherwise you could have something potentially malicious going on, I guess.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, totally.
yeah.
So,
Okay,
and
that's
if
very
we
cool.
scroll down again, once again, we can see we've got a couple of platforms we can test our app on. We can have a development build. We can open it on Android, on iOS, and web. Now, uh, pressing either, and you have keyboard shortcuts for this, and having both either Android or iOS, what it's going to do, Android is going to automatically look for the closest device that it can run it on, be it a Android phone that's connected to your computer or the
Okay.
Android, I want to say emulator. The
Okay.
reason I'm hesitating to get the word right is because if we press I for iOS, it's going to do the same thing. Look for an iPhone that's connected to your computer or try the iPhone simulator.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so for context, I don't have a great camera for streaming, so I use my phone instead because I got a new phone a
Hey,
while ago.
same.
I'm like, I'm not that my webcam was terrible, but it's definitely not like I know people stream with like DSLRs and stuff, and I'm like, there's no way I can justify dropping like 3 grand or 2 grand on a camera right now, and so I was like, hey, this new iPhone has a pretty good camera, so.
Well, I
So
mean, exactly. Why not leverage the tools you already have, right? And as you said
yeah,
correctly, like I'm on like what you're looking at now, this is an iPhone 12 mini. It's solid. Like it does the
yeah,
trick.
yeah.
Um,
So all that to say is, I'm gonna open it in the emulator and not in the simulator, not my phone.
yeah, and that way we can share the screen with the kind folks live.
Okay, so I pressed I, and let's see what happens now. Ooh, apparently I have an iPhone 14 Pro Max emulator going on. All right, nice. Okay, so Expo Go is outdated. Would you like to upgrade? Yes.
Yeah, you can go
Okay.
ahead and upgrade that. And so what's going on is that Expo is automatically installing into the simulator this app Expo Go, which is going to allow us to real-time develop the app. You're going to see an
Okay.
iPhone show up there, all nice and happy. We're going to
Okay.
see some. And check it out. What you're seeing now is Metro, which is a server that builds your iOS app, or sorry, your
Okay.
React Native app, is compiling the JavaScript into code that works in iOS. So I
Okay, cool.
can't quite see what it says there because
Yeah,
the
I
screen's a
was
little
gonna
blurry
say
here,
for
but
folks on the stream, I unfortunately can't zoom in the emulator or the as far as I know. I can try. Let me see. All it said was this is the Kind Words app. Yeah,
oh,
no, I can't
fantastic.
zoom. I can't zoom this in, so apologies for that,
Let
folks.
me
But
let me just do a zoom in iOS simulator. Maybe if you go Nick to the top, the status bar menu, maybe there's a
yeah.
window or view option.
Oh yeah, wait. Simulator window,
I'll
physical
fire it up and see.
size, fit screen. Okay, that's a bit bigger.
Hey,
Okay, so
nice.
it
That's much better.
okay, yeah. So I don't know how to close this modal. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I haven't built anything yet. This is literally what the template has, and we appear to have two tabs, tab 1 and tab 2.
Very
Um,
fancy.
cool,
Cool.
yeah.
So what we're looking at here is our app running on iOS. Sorry, didn't want to
No, no, no,
interrupt you
that's
from
good.
what you were doing.
No, 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 I was just nodding my head.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, cool. Cool. So we've got some stuff here. I can't quite read the instructions, but that's not because of the size. It's because the video thing is kind of blurry.
Oh, okay, I
Um,
wonder why that is. I can
that's
check
probably
that.
my internet.
Okay.
But it's no big deal.
Yeah,
I
so
think what we can do
I
is,
can tell you what's going on here. So, well, basically, I ran the emulator. It just rebundled things, kind of like it would if you were, building a React app, like for web. So,
yep,
just said iOS bundling complete. Yeah, that's pretty
amazing.
much it. Okay, so I guess the next question I have is when I'm there's my emulator. Okay, cool. Why is that not? I can't bring my emulator to the front. When I'm using the emulator, I can keep that open the whole time as I make changes, I'm assuming.
Yes. So Expo will hot reload, which is like if you make a change and then save your file, the simulator will automatically update. So that's Expo
Okay.
working in the background, doing some magic, telling
Okay.
Metro, which again is that bundling server, like, hey, or rather, Metro telling Expo, like, hey, we got some changes. Let me rebuild you real quick.
Okay. So let's just for fun then. I'm in tab 2, so I'm just searching for the file. I'm assuming this is it. So if I close this,
Yeah.
so it says tab 2 right now. So if I just say tab 2 and save, okay, so it
Yeah. Check it
updates.
out.
All right. Yeah, okay. So this is cool
Yeah.
already, because this is something I think that most devs these days expect, when you're working with the framework is you get this hot reloading. So it's nice that there it
Totally.
makes sense it exists in React Native too. Okay, cool. I'll just undo that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So all right, so we've got the project set up. We are in development mode. We have the emulator open. So we're pretty much in a good state to start building stuff, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Do we want to take a quick moment to like just explore what the rest of the code base looks like and what we're looking at in terms of code? I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
slow
no,
us
for
down too
sure.
much.
No, no, no worries
Um,
at all. Okay, so yeah, I'll bump this up just while we're looking at it.
oh,
Oops, that's super
fantastic.
big.
Thank you.
It's something I never used to do this, but then when I started streaming, I'm constantly zooming in things. Um, that's a little too big though. All right, cool. There we go.
I might.
Okay,
I'm so sorry, folks. I hope it's okay. I'm just going to turn up the fan a little bit because it's getting quite toasty in here. If it's too loud and annoying, please let me know. I'll be 2 seconds.
it's all good. For context too, while Ramon's doing that, I was telling him I'm in Montreal, and unfortunately there was some flooding in my area, and so my basement got flooded a bit, and all the water's gone now. But the insurance company installed this industrial grade dehumidifier, which luckily you can't hear because I'm using this software I use all the time, Crisp.ai. But the thing is generating so much heat in my basement that I am like melting. So like if you see
Yeah.
me doing this every now and then, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I
cool, cool.
sorry.
Yeah, so I no 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 no, it's all good, it's all good. I guess yeah, let's go through the structure here. Like the app folder is similar to like app or SRC like you would have in a like a web project. I am curious though, like the tabs here, is there any reason why the folder is in parentheses, the folder name? And
I have no idea.
okay.
This must be something new
Okay.
that with this could be something new with Expo V2. But what we're doing here is providing us a folder structure that Expo router will understand to say like, cool, these are two separate screens that are each a tab. And a lot of this is going to look, is going to be automatically formatted to look different on iOS and Android because believe it or not, what you're looking at here on the left
Yeah.
is native. What does that mean? It means these aren't web components. These are not like this is not like some apps will instead of having the whole app functionality will have like a little browser showing the app.
Yeah.
This is a native iOS tab and native iOS tab views.
Okay, okay, gotcha. Oh yeah,
So, oh,
sorry, I was just gonna say, Francis in the chat. How you doing, Francis? He's saying that it's a group, it's not a route level Next.js. Oh yeah, it's just because of file-based routing. It's that's why. Like that's why there's weird symbols. Like I don't know if you've done any Svelte either as well, but like they have all these
yeah.
weird symbols in the file paths or the folders because of file-based routing. So yeah, good call out, Francis, and thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
by the way.
thank you. Yeah,
Cool, cool.
awesome. So yeah, we've got a couple of files here that are going to be either an individual page like we see for index and two, but we also see some other files like layouts, and these are going to be feel super familiar if you're working a lot with like React or other web frameworks. This is going to be the markup or code or views that surround your individual pages, so you're not
Yeah,
repeating yourself all the time essentially.
yeah. Next.js is doing this too. This is with the latest React stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Reusability for the win. Okay, and
Awesome.
then yeah, what else do we have
Yeah.
here? Okay,
Let's take
so
a
there
look
is
at
a
components, shall we?
yeah.
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
let's. No, I was gonna say there's this modal, and I'm not sure how it differs, but there is a modal screen. Like I forget where I had it pop up before. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
well,
no, that's not.
let's make it pop up again, shall we? What we can do is if you open up your terminal, and this is a
Okay,
great time to show this off.
okay,
If you ever want to restart your app from scratch, you can just
yeah,
press the R button, and
okay,
that'll tell it like, "Hey,
okay.
we're back."
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So there's the modal, and then it's just saying to continue. Okay. Uh,
So
okay.
this what you see
Uh,
here is Expo just giving you some info on how to develop your app more easily. But if you press that at the top right of that modal, the X button, we can dismiss it.
yeah. Cool.
And here we're
Okay.
back.
All right. Cool. 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 So I'll just.
And
That's nice that you can just restart like that instead of because like typically in web dev it's gotten better, but like sometimes you just have to full on stop the server.
oh yeah, totally, totally.
Okay.
No, it's pretty
So
handy.
okay. Cool. Cool. So yeah. So let's look at some of the components like you were saying.
Yeah, it
So
looks like this template comes with a lot of pre-generated stuff. We've got some info for edit screen, for how to edit a screen, for example. So this template comes with a lot of pre-written code for us. A lot of the time, this is going to be a lot more minimal. You'll just have an index page and no components, which is totally fine. This one just comes with
okay.
a bunch more stuff, which makes helps us get up and running faster. If
Okay.
we
Yeah.
really want to get started at looking at where things are and how that works, I think our best place to start is going to be that index page in tabs.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Okay.
Great. So, I mean, if you look at this, it's going to seem super familiar if you've worked with React before. We are exporting our function, tab one screen, and it returns, and we see some JSX here. a couple of views, some text, and then edit screen info, which is, we can see now, that component to which we pass a prop that has
Yeah.
the name of the screen we want to edit.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Totally.
So,
Yeah. And
and
then there's okay.
oh
This
yeah.
this is just different, like because it's making me think of CSS and JS and stuff, which
Oh yeah.
that's but again, I haven't done any actual native mobile development, so I guess it's a little different than the web. Like on the web, you definitely typically want your CSS separate and stuff, but I guess in mobile land, this is like a good pattern. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I mean it's up to you how you want to do it. The thing is, in iOS and Android, you don't have CSS. You have, I do not for the life of me remember the name of the layouting tool in iOS. Back
is
in
it
my day, we
yoga
used something.
in? Is I heard yoga before, or is that a React thing for React Native?
Maybe.
Okay.
I do not know yoga. um, but I can tell you that, for example, for Android, you use you use their interface, their integrated interface builder. For iOS, you do the same. A lot of the time, which learner is correctly quoting here, it's going to be XML like language.
Okay.
So to simplify a lot of that, React Native just said, "Hey, let's just take something that's pretty familiar and and have a CSS like engine."
Okay.
So yeah, this is going to be writing a lot of CSS in JS, and we're using, you see here, a style sheet.create, and we're passing in some objects. And these are
Okay.
going to be, CSS clumps that we then assign to an individual component in React Native. Now, if you look at this, you're going to notice that it's almost CSS, but there's a couple
Yeah.
differences. For example, the property names are camel cased. The reason for that
Yeah.
is, if we're going to be doing key names in JavaScript, we can have dashes, but then they need to be strings.
Yeah. Yeah,
So what
this
the
is
React,
yeah, this is exactly like if you ever change styles in JavaScript, like in the even in the document object model and like a website, you this is how
yeah.
you have to type them.
Oh yeah, like look what Francis is saying. Like it's 95% like CSS, except it's flex row by default.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so cool. And what we're doing is we're taking each of these styles from the styles object and assigning them to individual components.
Okay.
If I may suggest, like creating an analog to how we look at the web, for example, we can think of a view as we would a div, a text as we would
Okay.
a p, and we there's a bunch of components that you'll find in the React Native documentation that that are going to seem very familiar.
Okay. I'm just laughing
So
because I updated the links for you for the stream, but I forgot to change the name to Ramon, and it says Graham.
I'm Graham now.
Yeah, yeah. I will fix that
Amazing.
right now because I'm gonna press it again after. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, go on.
All good. All good. All good. Shout outs to Graham. Um,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, and the rest is just going to seem pretty familiar, said, if you're working with it, and we can mess around with these style sheets, and they're going to update live, of course, and all
Yeah.
of that good stuff. So with all that said, Nick, I think I've blabbered on for a while now. Let's yeah, let's develop some kind words.
Okay. All right. So to get this working, I created a small CRUD app, which I'll load into another VS Code. Um,
Nice.
and just for funsies, just to explain how I did this, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this, so I actually used ChatGPT to generate it, and it pretty much
Oh,
got it like 99% of the way. So uh, basically, what I'm doing here is it's a CRUD app, sorry, it's a CRUD API, and I haven't deployed it. It's just running locally, but
nice.
because I work at Netlify, I put it into an edge function for now. So basically, I'm just going to run NTL serve. NTL is just the Netlify CLI. Some people write Netlify, but um, Whoops, what did I do? Oh, it's because I'm not logged in as myself. Sorry. I have my
Are
work
you
account
impersonating
enabled.
someone, Nick?
Yeah, yeah. It's that time of this stream where I expose my work email. All right, cool. Let's do that again. Okay, so this is just gonna be running, and I'll just show folks briefly. So I've just got Insomnia open here, and so if I send
Ooh,
here,
what's that?
oh, so Insomnia is like Postman or like Thunder Client. It's like a REST client to test things. So
Oh,
so like the goal of today is not so much to build a REST API, so which is why I just built this out really quick, but we can get a list of the brags. I kind of like kind words again, like I said, but we can get a specific one, and we can also delete one. And then if I come back
oh,
here and
great.
get them, so that's all working. So like if we get far enough, we can use this. But for now, I'm just gonna take that off screen for now, or I'll pop it up here because we don't need that. Cool, and I'll move that up
Sweet.
to, hold on a sec, sorry for all the moving here. Okay, so let's get back to here and to our emulator. Okay, so
Yeah.
basically
Nick, how do you feel? Oh, sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say we just have that that brag API, which I'm gonna rename it
Fantastic.
kind words API. So that's running if we get around to time to actually attaching it. But for now, yeah, I
Oh,
guess we
that'd be
just need to
amazing.
build out something like a form to say go get them or or update one. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll let you go ahead and speak now. I'm rambling on.
No, no, you're good. This is great. Thank you. And I think it's important that, because what we're doing here is pairing, right? Like we
Yeah, yeah.
gotta, we gotta express our thoughts here. So this is great. Um, how do you feel about starting a brand new screen and sort
Yeah,
of like
let's do
have
that.
that be our base level screen? So what I would suggest is in the app folder, let's create an index.tsx. I have no idea if this is going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
Fabulous. And let's write as we would a React component here that we'll call index.
Good. Whoops, why am I typing 0? Okay, we can say return null for now. Okay,
Fantastic. Ooh, what's our error?
export default. Oh, whoops. I'll just do it as a function. It's okay. Export default function. There we go. Okay.
Ah, great. Cool. So of course we're not going to see that function. We're not going to see that index page because right now our index page is that tab view. So I
Yeah.
believe what we want to do, and oh, this gives us a great opportunity to hop around a little bit. If you scroll down in our top level folder,
Yeah.
could you scroll down a little bit and see if there's some kind of let's see what we got. It's a little blurry for me. Is there an app.json?
Yeah, there is. Cool. Yeah, I have it
Great.
open now. So looks like some metadata from what I can tell.
Yeah, so this is going to be the info that we tell Expo that's going to be specific to our app. Things like what the icon is that shows up in the home screen, what's
Okay.
the all of that good stuff. Typed
Gotcha.
routes,
Gotcha.
fabulous. And there we can change the name that shows up as well and all of that good stuff. What I want to
Okay.
briefly do is figure out and see if there's a way that we can make this index file our index file. So
Okay.
what?
I think it could be even though I've done no Expo or React Native, I think we have to go in the tabs folder with the routing. I think that's where we have to be. Um,
Okay.
that's that's my
Yeah, it could be.
guess.
I was hoping that we could specify. Maybe can we take what's that plus html.tsx or haml? I can't quite read it.
Yeah.
That's why I was configure.
Okay. So yeah, configure the root HTML for every web page during static rendering. Okay,
This
this
looks
is
like
kind
some
of
React Native web stuff. Oh, sorry.
yeah, this is yeah, no, it's kind of like the main thing. They have this in Next.js too. You can have like It's like the top level template, which has like the sorry, Francis is saying, I think that's for if you export for web. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, so we
Thank you
don't
so
need
much.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we need to be in the index, or if we wanted to create a new page, we'd like create a new tab maybe, or I think actually index is the first tab, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think
What about
again
that
haven't.
layout in the app folder, if I may ask?
Yeah. Well, there's the root one, which
Yeah. Oh, here we
appears
go.
to.
There it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
If you scroll up just a touch, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. Line 15, we've got an initial root name.
Oh,
May I
okay.
ask if we change that to be /? I think this is going to work. And save
Yeah.
that.
Okay. It says didn't see your changes. What? Here, hold on a sec. Refreshing. Don't see your changes. Reload the app. Okay. So let me do that.
Yeah, sometimes you're going
So
to have to do that.
okay. There we go.
Great. It's empty. Progress.
All right.
Excellent. Now we can start developing our first screen.
Okay.
Um,
So here we are. Okay.
so what are the things we'll need in our initial screen? I guess we'll need like a header. We'll need and we can develop this, as we would. Oh yeah, good call. Just have a
I,
text that says,
yeah. I'm just spelunkering here.
as one
Oh,
does. That's
interesting.
very good. So text cannot
So
be found. Of course, we need to import the
yes.
text component from React
Yeah.
Native.
Okay. At components themed. I don't know if that's it.
I don't know if that's. It could be, but I think it's like a
Uh,
themed text. But hey, it works. We can also
yeah.
use
Well,
the one from React Native. It's all good.
yeah. Let me make sure. What's this one? JSX intrinsic. No, that's just text. Oh, weird. Hmm. Let me just see if there is another one.
Sure.
Okay,
I think
text.
if
Oh
the
yeah,
third
here we
one,
go. Yeah, there we go. That's the React Native one. Okay, and I'll
amazing,
just
cool. So we can
refresh. Okay, there we go.
fantastic. So now we can start like adding some stuff in there. So what do we think? What do we need? We need a title at the top.
Yeah.
So we probably want to wrap this all in a view.
Okay. And I was gonna ask you. Somebody was mentioning this at the start of the stream. There's no linting. Um, is that what they said?
They did say there's no linting. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there. Okay, we got our view still. Cool. Yeah.
It could be that
I,
this template doesn't have linting set up.
I'm just gonna add one thing. I'm gonna do touch prettier.rc prettier. Is that it? Prettier RC.
I think it needs to be hidden. Yeah, nice.
This I have a VS Code extension that just automatically, if you have a, there we go. Cool.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Lovely.
cool. Cool.
Great. So
All
now
right.
we've got a view with our, what is that? 2 cents? I can't quite read it.
It says 42. Here, let me zoom
Ah,
in there.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So we can put our label, we can put our top level header there. And did you say we wanted to have a form?
Well, I guess maybe at the start, I mean, like, well, we can obviously just play around a bit, but I guess maybe the first thing we'd want to do is load the existing kind words, maybe.
Great. Yes. And to do that, we're going to use a list because
Okay.
let's talk briefly about this, if I may. In mobile apps in general, tables
Yeah.
not really a thing.
Okay.
Mostly due to the fact of screen real estate. So most and you'd know this if you've developed a lot of responsive apps on the web. Like tables are a little bit trickier to handle on mobile. So from the ground up, a lot of what you're
Yeah.
doing in a mobile app is dedicated to lists.
Okay.
So in React Native, we have something called a flat list, which is we're going to
Okay.
use. That's capital F.
Okay. Should I scrap the view here or put it under the view?
I would say put it under the 42 maybe, because the 42 could
Okay.
turn into our
Yeah.
the 42 could turn into our exactly our table, our label.
Okay. So flat list, React Native. There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. So our flat list is going to be a self-contained component um, that consists of mainly three things. One
Okay.
is the data. So that's the data property. We could give it
Okay.
like, I don't know, an array or something right now.
Yeah. I'll just say kind words, and then
Good call.
I'll just pop this here. And then
Wonderful.
I'm just gonna copy it from what I have from the other thing.
Oh, good call.
Just 2 seconds. I just have some bootstrapping data in here, so it's okay.
Nice. And I think hard coding is a great way to start.
Yeah, for sure. Because especially like if for some reason we don't get to the whole thing, like to actually
Yeah.
use the data. Okay, cool. Let's come back here. Okay, so since we're in TypeScript, I already had a type decide. I'm gonna just call this kind words, and let's rename this to kind word. Okay, so I don't need this. That was from Dino. Okay, so I just have an interface where it's got an ID, text, and a date.
Perfect.
Maybe the okay, and yeah, so we have some dates here. I am curious how dates work, but anyways. Okay, so I put in the date. I put in the
Yep.
data. We're clearly missing some other props, I imagine.
Yeah, and these are going to seem familiar as well. We're going to have a render item prop,
Okay.
which is going to be from each item rendering a component for that specific item in the list.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. This is like a render prop that we used to have prop drilling in React, and then we went with render props, and then it became hooks. So it's just interesting. This is the render prop pattern. So anyways,
Yeah.
just an aside.
No, super cool. There you go.
Okay.
Is
All
this
right.
is this
Thank you,
Copilot
Copilot.
being super smart?
Yeah, it is definitely
Amazing.
text date. Oh, date to locale string. Great. And then
We're going to need a
uh,
fragment around that.
oh yeah. And okay, great. Nice. There. We already got them loading. No, that's
Fantastic.
awesome.
The last thing we're missing that to make React Native happy as we would React is a key extractor property.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought we had to add a key in the render item, but key. Okay. That makes sense. Item ID.
I don't use Copilot a lot, so every time I see it do this stuff, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, this is just an anecdote, but like, I don't think you should blindly follow something like Copilot, but when you know what you're doing, it saves me so much time because like I know how to write these things out, but like I would have wasted time doing that. So I think it's really cool that I find it super useful for stuff like this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, totally.
So this is pretty neat.
Yeah, so from there we've already got our list, and let's, if I may, talk for a moment about why we're doing this as opposed to looping through our kind words and for each of them just rendering this. And that
Yeah,
comes from the history of, like, mind you, we've come a long way, but at the beginning of the mobile era, there was not a lot of
yeah,
RAM to work with, not a lot of memory to work with. So what a flat list will
yeah,
do will very smartly and automatically add scroll it, like the ability, like all of the scrolling functionality you need, but as well as like
Okay.
smartly caching items as you scroll in and out.
Okay. I'm just gonna try something. Add more kind words here. Sometimes Copilot's good at this. Okay. Anyways, I was gonna. Anyways, it's fine. Okay, so we've got a couple here loading. Again, and this is kind of why I liked React to just being able to like pretty much instantly, and the web in general, being able to build things so quickly. Like obviously we're not finished,
Yeah.
but like the ramp up for this was pretty low so far.
Yeah.
Okay,
And what I
cool.
like about it is just it's based on pre-existing knowledge, right? Pre-existing competencies we have as software developers. If you're familiar with the web, you know what to look up. How would I display a table in React Native? And you're going to be led to, for example, the flat list.
Yeah. I did have a question about retrieving data. So like because we have a working
Yeah.
API right now,
Yeah.
since this is JavaScript, does React Native have
Yeah.
fetch, or what is like what's the model there in terms of data retrieval?
Yeah. So because it's React, we have the full fetch API.
Okay.
Chuck in
And so
Axios if that's more your speed, like whatever you like.
okay, so I can do
Dude,
this.
all of your use effect goodness is available here.
Okay, so I can do fetch. Okay, wait. So okay, so I'm just gonna set up this data just for fun. So I'll just comment this out for a second,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna create thank you. All right, that's
Oh
exactly
my
what I wanted to
goodness.
do. Okay,
That
so
always scares me
there.
when it knows what you want.
Uh, so I just need to import use state. Okay, and then here we can do set kind words, and then we can just say I'll have to do this async, because you can't use async on the use effect callback. So
Oh,
I'll do
really?
this. Yeah, well, because you can do it, but it'll cause weird behavior potentially.
Good to know.
Because okay, payload equals await fetch, and then let me just go to the API again. That's gonna break on purpose. Oh, thank you for the follow. I can't see who just followed me at the moment, but okay. Okay, so I'm gonna grab here and let's come back. So I'm gonna hard code this for now. Normally you wouldn't hard code a URL like this, but we're just having fun. We're learning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is gonna get us response, and then we're gonna say const data. Yes, exactly there. Okay, that's good. And then async. Da, 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 da. Okay. So this is the use effect is going to run once because we don't have a dependency array.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, like I was saying, there's weirdness with async in use effect. So I'm basically creating an async function here, and then I'm calling it right away. And then that way we'll be able to await the response, and then the data will come, and then we can set the kind words. And because it's a state, the kind words should re-render at that point. So if I save this now, item.data location. Okay, it's not a fun. Oh, okay. That is because the date return from my API is a string already. So let me just save
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Okay, looks like I have to reload. Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Sometimes it's a little. Oh, it
So
worked.
this is the live data. So like
Amazing.
again, this is okay. I'm gonna and just to prove that it's the live data, let's bring up Insomnia. So I'll take that out of here. Okay, let's come back here. So I'm gonna create a brag. So uh, let's see. Ramon said I'm Awesome. And now I'm
Darn
in
right.
tears. All right, so I'm gonna send that. Okay, so we've got it. So if I come here again, you see I've got that second one now. So now let's come back to here. Get my emulator back. Okay, it actually refresh. Actually, I'm very confused. How did it know that the data updated? Unless that's
I
something
have
I
no idea.
maybe I caused
Could it be
something
that?
when I switched screens.
Yeah,
But
maybe you say. Yeah.
yeah. But I just want to say how awesome is this already? Like, yes, I know I built that API very quickly, and it's basically using an array in the API right now. But regardless of how that's implemented, we pulled in data from that API already, and so I don't know. I'm already thinking this is super cool. Obviously not full-fledged app, but still pretty neat.
I mean, just the fact that this is just the fact that this is using, like, you're building native apps using knowledge you have from web technologies. I mean,
Yeah,
that's wild.
yeah, no, totally. And I could actually fix this. Hold on a sec.
And I mean, you don't even exactly, like, you're already fixing this because you know what to do because you're familiar with, like, React.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do here. Just gonna say kind words data dot map. Yeah, any sure. And I'm gonna just say I'm just gonna fix the date because the API was returning it as a UTC string. So I'm gonna just say yeah. This is
Oh
exactly what I.
my goodness.
Okay, so now if I come back here, okay,
Oh, you're
uh,
displaying a date now.
date, new date, set kind words. That should be
I think you need.
good.
Oh no, it's back. What's the error?
Item that it's saying it's not a function or is undefined. So let me just reload in case. Okay, I'm doing something wrong here, but let's see what it spits out if I get rid of the to locale string again.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I won't dwell on it. It's something I can patch up later. But basically, I was just trying to do that. But okay, so let's do this. Okay, and got to reload. All right, did it reload? Okay. Oh, whoops. It would help if I put back my thing. I'm just typing too fast. There we go. Sorry about that.
You're excited. It's good.
Yeah, I'm excited and I just can't fight it. Okay, let me save it again and let's reload one more time. Okay, we're back to where we
There
were.
we go.
So I'll sort it out
Cool.
after. Okay.
Cool.
So I'm just doing a time check. We got about 17 minutes. I can probably go a little longer, but
I'm good.
already this is pretty neat. So okay, so we've got we don't have anything really styled at the moment. So like say I wanted to style this, for example, for example, the kind words is a header.
Yeah.
So what's like what do you think is the best practice for this? Like normally if I was in CSS, I would probably have a class here.
Mhm.
But I know we had some native create style sheet in one of the other files. How do you normally do it like when you're teaching folks?
Yeah, I like to stick to what's integrated, what's out of the box. So the thing this is going to work. The thing about these styles, sorry, yes. The thing about the styles is that a lot of the time they don't cascade, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen here is that for every element, we're going to need to style.
Okay.
Sorry, for every component, we're going to need to style. So we have a few options. A lot of the time, what you're going to be doing, and you saw this in because we had that themed, um, folder in the components. You'll extract
Yeah.
components that have those styles built in, and then you can just reuse them. That's one thing that a lot
Okay.
of people do. So we can
Okay.
either do
Gotcha.
that, or we can create a style sheet here and apply them to each of these components.
Okay. Um. What do you think's best? I'm totally fine creating a new style sheet, but you know.
Yeah, let's go ahead and yeah, we can create an yeah. Why not create a component and see how componentable? Because we're in React,
Okay.
we can create a new. Let's call it like a header component, for example.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. New file header.tsx, and then let's go export default function. Yeah, and I like it. Thinking in oh, see, there we go. I like it. Thinking in components. It's the way to go. So we want to return. Well, we'll start off with just text here, and let's pick the React Native one, and then we're gonna take a prop. So we're gonna want, I don't know, text, and that's string. Or actually,
We can also do that whole
this.
children thing if we want.
Yeah, oh yeah, or just children. Yeah, yeah. No, that's even better actually. Children.
I don't know what the type of children are.
It's React.node probably.
Very likely.
Uh, children is declared.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then here, children. Okay, so let's save that property children. Okay, whatever. I'm not sure what it is here right now, but I'll just put any, which is terrible, I know. Okay, so
We're learning.
we've got that. Okay, so I can come here now and I can just say header.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna close the sidebar. Okay, and I'm gonna import it from our components. And if I save it, we still got the same thing going on. Okay, so nothing noticeable, obviously, for the moment. So now, yeah, let's componentize and let's style our component now, I guess.
Fantastic. So below your function, we're going to declare a style sheet, and we can go by what they usually do with this const style. Thank you, Copilot.
All right.
And we're going to create an object here, which we already have, and for each amazing. Yeah, we're going to have our key is going to be the name of the style, and then inside that we'll just have an object comprised of those styles.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Okay, wait,
what?
Yeah. See, this I'm not so worried about taking my job, because this is like, it allows me to focus on the bigger picture things. But okay, this might not be right. Does not exist.
I believe we need to import it if we haven't yet.
Style sheet dot. There's apply. Let me go see what the other components had, because one of them had it.
Pretty sure it's create.
Style
I think
sheet.
the problem is that.
Oh, I didn't import this. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, there, and let's come back here. Dot create. Okay, so let's save that.
I want to take a second, if I may, to point out. I don't know if you noticed, but our font size is a number with no unit.
Oh, that's true.
And, right, and that's because, again, this isn't CSS. Both iOS and Android have their own thing. Don't ask me what they are because I can't remember. But the point is that these are being automatically translated to those, and I don't actually know what it translates to if we translate them to the webs. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're using discrete numbers here. So the reason that hasn't updated there, I suspect. Oh, right, we haven't applied it.
Yeah, no, I was just seeing how they do it in the other components. So that's me. All right, style.styles. Okay, styles dot.
Container.
Oh, it's header, right? There we go.
Yes.
Wow.
That
cool. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty productive.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, just a quick reminder: this is native mobile. Like,
I have to take a call real quick. It's the insurance. Hold on one sec.
Oh goodness, go for it. Nick, we can also stop here if that's better.
It should be quick, I think. So hold on a sec.
Take your time. I will happily hang out, chat. How are we all doing today? I mean, you know what
Hello?
when thinking about like why should I use um, React Native versus like mobile native mobile, I said, having that single code base is really helpful, and I find that it helps us focus on getting an app out that works for the most part across all platforms. If we were running this on Android, it would look a little bit different. For example, the header is going to be slightly different. Are we back?
I'm back. I missed the call, but hold on. So,
Ah,
uh,
sorry, Taylor, Nick.
no, no, it's all good. I switched cameras to so I can call them. Cool, cool. Yeah. Um, no, we should probably wrap up soon then. Because that's kind
Yeah,
of
sounds
important.
good.
Yeah, they're calling again, so I'm gonna take it. I'm just gonna put us to the be back screen in a sec. So be
Sure.
back.
Nick, I think you're still muted. Maybe.
I was double muted. Double mute.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just had to take that because normally I don't
No
interrupt my
stress.
stream, but I also normally don't get my basement flooded. um,
Totally.
yeah, yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, so you were saying, I forget where we
Oh
were at,
gosh.
but yeah, oh, you were talking about the font size and the units, and then I applied the styles. Again, what you were saying, you had to have a key, so like the header, so styles.header. Um, and that's
Yeah.
typically the way you go with styling because like you were saying there's no cascade here, right?
Yeah. So, a style that's applied to an outer view is not going to be applied to an inner one, which I believe is the whole concept of cascading, unless I misunderstood.
Yeah, yeah, okay, cool, 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 gotcha. Yeah, no, okay, this is pretty neat. I know we're getting close to time. I know you can go longer. I don't know how much more I can go because I have to get back to work.
Nick,
But
don't worry. We can I think we reached a pretty good point of like we did our header. We can do a little bit of flexbox if you like to just show like distributing
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
around the screen.
Why don't
If
we
that
do
sounds
that?
good.
Yeah, why don't we do that to show and just to kind of recap because sorry about taking that call, folks. But yeah, we've got actual data loading from our API. Yes, it's my API running locally on my machine, but it's actually loading that data. And again, to your point, what you were saying, Ramon, was like I'm using everything in React, so I kept it simple for now. Just use state, I had a use effect to go get my data. But like as somebody who's never done like actual native mobile development, like all the tools I already know. Like I'm sure this isn't a polished app, obviously, but like I was able
Hey,
to move pretty quickly.
I mean it's solid. And like, the next steps after that, if we wanted to cover that, would be, how do you get this in front of people?
Yeah.
Because of course, getting this, for example, if you build an Android binary, remember we
Okay.
mentioned binaries being like a compiled app. Um, Android phones will allow you to install these Android bundles. They're called ABD or APK, depending on the method you use to build them. And you can install these on your phone and use them, give them to people. Of course, it's a security risk with your phone, so be aware of what you're doing when you're installing third-party apps.
Yeah.
But with iOS, and if you want to distribute it to folks, you can put it on the App Store, and there's some steps you can do to do that. But if you Expo actually provides a suite of tools, as we discussed earlier, for um, deploying and building in the cloud. So you can do
Oh
that
yeah.
too. Just a couple of caveats that people should know when you want to, put apps up on the App Store. There are on either the App Store or on Google Play. You need to have an
Yeah.
account on those respective platforms. There is a fee incurred. I think the App Store, the iOS App Store costs $99 a year, and I think the Google Play Store is a one-time $25 fee, if I'm not mistaken. So those are two
Okay.
things to
Yeah.
take into consideration. But once you've got that all set up, you can just take your React Native app and deploy it on either store.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 No, that's super cool. Well, maybe if you're up for it, like, well, let's just go through the flex stuff. but maybe on another stream if you're up for it. It'll probably be in a little while because I'm on vacation in
All
August for a
good.
bit. But if you
Love it.
want to, maybe we could do like a part two where maybe we build out a bit more of the app and we could
Sounds
maybe
great.
even see about deploying it. Maybe we'll see how far we get, I guess.
Sounds
Um,
good.
but I think it'd be fun and like I think this would be something fun to open source, that
Yeah.
people could build off of. And I, getting back to the spirit of what the app is, like a brag board, kind words and stuff. I think it would be it'd be a fun project to collaborate on with not just yourself but other people, and I think people might find it actually useful. So
Absolutely.
cool, cool. Yeah. So why don't we touch on just using Flex here, and then I think we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to keep talking to you all day, but I do have to get back to work. So
No worries, Nick. Let's totally do it and then call it a day. It's been fun.
okay. Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying this, and Learner 0418 has been sending some kind words that I should probably save, and
But
we
we
can
gotta
put
put
it
them
in the
in.
app. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love it.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so I guess come back to the index where we have the view here and the flat list. So
Yeah.
I guess where would we
Just a
apply
quick
the
note, Nick.
flex?
Just know that oh, sorry. I can't see your screen right now. I think we're in
Oh
the
yeah. Sorry,
main mode
we're
thing.
not in the pair mode. Yeah. Sorry. Good call. Good call.
There we go. Cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah. No, and sorry, Learner 0418 is shared now. Sorry, that's me. I was in the other screen by accident. Yeah. So we want to just try out the flex. So like, would we apply that to the flat list? I'm assuming.
Well, if we wanted
Or
to, I was thinking we could do it over the full screen here. If
okay.
like,
So the view itself, I guess.
yeah. Why don't we
Okay.
create a style sheet object like we did before? Exactly.
Okay. Okay, and I'll say styles dot. I'll just say styles dot main. Oh, that's TypeScript thinking I want something else and I don't. But style. Okay, so there, and then we'll come
Perfect.
down here, and then we'll change this to main.
Oh, you
No,
copy
that
pasted it
was
or did
yeah, that was me this time.
all good.
uh, okay, style
Don't forget
sheet
to
React
import.
Native.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then maybe we can
now
do
yeah. Okay, so it's already telling me flex one. Is that what we want?
that's exactly what we want.
Okay.
So if we
Oh,
save that, we
padding.
might want to
Sure.
give it. Oh yeah, never say no to padding. And now we want to give that a refresh just in case.
Okay,
Cool.
so
Let's take a look for a
yeah.
sec. Shall we go back up to the view and see what we're missing
Yeah.
here, perhaps?
Oh,
I
wait,
think it's
is it
style.
style? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So we got the padding. That's awesome. And I'm assuming the flex is applying.
Should be, but I'm not. Oh yeah, we probably need to like put in a what is it called? Can put in a gap. Yeah, we can also have, if we want to do content justification, we can do all of that good stuff.
Okay, and then I guess I could even in the I could actually even in here do a gap too. So like I could say just to space
I'm
out.
not sure. I could be wrong. Let me find that out in the docs. Like, give it a try.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna YOLO it. List. That's a terrible name, list, but okay, and let's go list. Yeah, it does. Oh, let me refresh. Okay, yeah, no, that's not it. So, oh, I did styles again. Okay, so I don't need the padding. And I don't think that's it's.
Sorry, I'm just looking up the docs real quick. So we have a couple of options. One thing we can do, not the best one, not my favorite one, is have an item separator component, which is one of the
Oh, okay.
properties, and there we can apply that
Okay.
margin or margin padding. Not sure. So
It's
that would be. Give me one sec. Oh yeah, no, it's a property of the flat list.
oh, okay, okay, gotcha. Da, da, okay. Oh,
There you
okay. So
go.
I can do it in line, and then here I can say flex one gap 20, and then is that right?
Yeah, I
And
think
then
you're missing a closing. There you go.
there, and then I can just get rid of this.
Yep.
Okay, let's reload. Okay.
Cool. I
It is
think
applying
because
it.
it is
Oh, I
it
don't need this.
yeah, I think because it's a view that is a flex box with a gap, there's only one item in there, so the gap isn't gonna apply.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we just need padding because it's
We can
the
either have
wrapper.
padding or height or margin, whatever you prefer.
Okay, yeah, yeah, gotcha. Okay, so that's looks like a little too much, but okay, but okay, neat, neat. And again, it's just components all the way down. So
Exactly. Exactly. It's nothing that's gonna seem like overly fancy or unfamiliar if you're familiar with React.
yeah, I think that's the big thing to remember here is like I was saying, I found it pretty easy to ramp up having previous React knowledge, and like obviously there's some differences like the render item, which but even like I said that's like the render prop, but like just this is just becoming familiar with some of the components like the item separator component and some stuff that might potentially be bad practices and styles in the web aren't bad practice here and so on like
Yeah.
and to what you're saying like there's
Maybe
no cascade and stuff and
exactly. And of course, let's not forget we're in mobile. What does that mean?
yeah
It means we can have access to a lot of mobile specific things such as um gestures, what's this thing called? The vibration, the motor
yeah
thingy,
haptic is that it
haptic
haptic
feedback. Yeah.
yeah
um
okay
the camera. And this is something maybe we could just cover in part two. How do permissions work? When you download an app and it wants to use your camera or it wants access to your photos, like these are all things you
yeah
can do in React Native, but we need to be a lot more upfront to comply with the security standards of um, Apple and Google, or iOS and Android.
yeah no totally font sorry I'm just doing one other thing how do you do italics uh, font italic what is it font variant that's it
Yeah, like
uh
Learner says, cameras, sensors, we have access to all those things.
is it font okay sure there yeah no I think that would be neat to access some of that stuff italic is not sorry
Oh, is it not font? Oh, I have to admit, I'm not very familiar with this.
yeah
Uh,
it's not a big deal I could just say font weight um, just go
yeah, I
bold.
think font style is going to be it.
There we go. Okay, font styles are. Well, anyways, all good, all good. Oh, variable fonts. Okay, thanks, learner 0418. Cool, cool. Well, I think here's a good place to wrap up. Like I said, Ramon, I could talk to you all day probably, but I do have to get back to some work that I have to finish. But this has been
Go
amazing.
for it.
I really appreciate you taking the time again to just kind of ramp me up here. Like I said, I think if you have some previous React experience, the learning curve for this it felt pretty low to me. Obviously
Amazing.
some differences because it is mobile, but like and getting set up to have like the emulator and stuff, but those aren't necessarily big hurdles. So yeah,
Totally.
no, this is super cool, and yeah, thanks everybody in the chat. Lots of lively chat today, so appreciate everybody there.
Amazing.
Um, Cool. I'm just gonna switch this to there, and I'm gonna see if there's anybody we can raid. I don't know if you know of anybody you want to raid, but I'm just gonna
Oh,
see
I don't
who's
know who's
online.
streaming right now.
Yeah, I feel like at least one person I know is streaming, but I could be wrong. Let's see here. Oh, Todd's, or yeah, let's go raid Todd. Okay, cool. Yeah, take
Fantastic.
care, learner. All right, cool. Let's do that. All right, so / raid Todd Libby. Cool, and thanks everybody, and we will see you next week. And we're going to be hanging out with Matijas for WASP, which is something we're going to check out next week. So tune in for that. Ramon, if you don't mind staying on for 2 seconds, and see you, everybody.
Totally. So long, everyone. Have a good one.
All right, cool. I'm just going to go ahead and stop the stream.